Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tech Talk. I'm your host, Steve Santamouris, and I'm joined by El Jefe, the boss, Mario Zaki. What's going on, Mario?
Hey Steve, how are you?
How are you, Mario?
I'm very good, Steve. How you doing?
Good. So, I
Thank you
know
for putting
last
this
time,
together.
yeah, I was just going to ask. So, the last episode, we said we were going to do this every week. It seems like it's seasonal now. We've done one in the winter, we did one in the spring, one in the summer. I think for the fall, I'll throw some leaves in the back. For Christmas, I'll have a Christmas tree. We're only doing one per season, so might as well make the summer.
Hey,
Actually, I should have came in with sunglasses and like a floaty now for the summer
l-
one.
let the record
Just,
show for the last couple of weeks I've come and asked you, are we recording today? Are we
I know. It's
recording
just
today?
been, yeah. Anyway, so today's episode actually is really interesting. It's based on what we're making a case study, which is a meeting that we did on Friday with the security, two actually pen tests that we did. The interesting thing is both companies had the same. I'm not going to steal your thunder. You can explain it, Mara. But both companies used the same exact antivirus, and based on if you looked at the company from the outside, you would have thought one thing, but the opposite happened. So anyway,
Exactly.
I'll let you take over.
Yeah, so I don't really want to mention, the names or the industries, but it was very interesting because we went to both of them on the same day. They were about 30 minutes apart, serviced by two separate companies. There was a small company, under 10 users, that was recently breached, and after they were breached, they brought us in and told us, they were being managed by a one-man shop, and that ever since this breach, they've kind of put together some higher, security measures and stuff like that. Um, they were actually the second meeting that we went to. The first one was a bigger company, about I don't know, 40 employees, being managed by a different IT company nationwide. They are a nationwide IT company, and obviously charging a lot more. And they were using the same security tool as the second company. And we ran this test, and now this test pretty much acts like, and I'm sure you've mentioned it before, like one click. What would happen if if a user ends up clicking on something and allowed a hacker to come in? This is what the system, the information that they would be able to extract, and we would want to see what would happen. Now, we usually, when we're talking to people, and we tell them like one of three things is going to happen. The best case scenario, it gets blocked. We can't even run it. Nobody, nothing, we can't do anything. Second case is it runs, it kind of alerts the system, and your IT company would reach out to you, to try to figure out what was going on.
Should reach out
Should
to you.
should reach out to you. And then the third option is what we see, like what, 98% of the time, 99% of the time. It runs, we get all the information we need, we sit down with them, and we tell them, this is your vulnerabilities.
Well, let's just to clarify. So when it runs,
When it
about
runs.
20% of the time, people are secure enough where it's blocked entirely. Those seem to be the two. Either it gets blocked,
You think
which is again,
20%?
yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
so. It's very few that it runs and their sparks are called. I mean, I think there
Yeah.
were a handful in 5 years. That for sure is,
Yeah.
and
So
that's weird because
80% of the time it runs, right?
yeah.
Or 20%
Oh
it
yeah,
gets,
definitely. I think
yeah.
80%.
Yeah. So what was interesting is that, same tool, all right, it's just configured differently. It's like going to, Home Depot and buying, a drill set, but if you don't know how to use it, it's kind of useless, right? So that a lot of people think that they can
You're
just
saying I'm
install.
useless because I can't use tools?
Well, do you have one of those fancy drill sets that,
I don't
collecting
even know what
dust?
I have. Yeah, everything. Yeah, exactly. Just go like I think it still has the price, the sticker on it, the seal.
If you could fit it in the kitchen drawer, then that's your tool set, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but so it was very interesting. And the big nationwide IT company that was managing this company, we were able to run it. It the security tool did not flag it, did not even alert, nothing. It allowed it right in, and it was completely unknown to the MSP. The smaller company, under 10 users, that was managed by a one-man shop, even though they were breached prior, like he did invest in the right tools after the fact. Unfortunately, it was too little, too late. It did. It stopped it. It blocked it. We couldn't even run it. They're among that 20% you were talking about. We couldn't even run it. So same tools, just configured completely different. That's to me that just shows to you it's not just what you have on there. Obviously you need to have something on there, but it's how you use it.
Right. Now, the big question is because I was floored. Like, I could not believe, because when we ran it on the big company, and it's 4 times the size. And then we went to this other company. Okay, they would just breach. I mean, I say just breach, I mean like a week prior. So, I mean, thank God that they didn't wind up taking like any kind of financial hit. Um, but the fact that they would just breach and it was a one-man shop, he had a couple people, that were like international workers. I thought for sure this thing was running. Like, I was just floored when I saw that it was blocked. Now the question is, like, why? I mean, I know what I think, but I'm saying, so you have a company that's a national company. They're charging probably 4 times what this other company's charging. Why is it that it would just run, not
Well,
alert them, no call, no anything?
well, with the systems, really, you can set it into like different modes. Like, do you want it to be loud, and alert you, more false positives, or do you want to kind of say, do your thing, we only catch the big ones. If it's really suspicious, let us know. That's definitely one of the factors. But uh, why was it set that way? Well, I mean, one of the reasons we were even in that room is because this is a national company. They've been acquiring these other companies left and right. We see it all the time. Um, they're growing faster than they can keep up. And they haven't been keeping up. We were in there because response time is bad, support is bad. Stuff that they are able to see on the front end was bad. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so when we see stuff like that, many times we say, well, if that's the stuff that you can see, let's figure out what you can't see. Let's see how their security is, because
Mm-hmm.
most likely, if they're lacking on the front end, they're probably lacking on the back end. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the small IT company was actually, the exact opposite. They told us, like, this one man shop is there when we call him every time. He picks up. He helps us. When we need it. They're always there. I just unfortunately they got breached because they didn't really have what the security measures in place prior to the breach. Now they have it. I don't know. How they still feel. Like, they're very upset that this happened in the first place, even though they were told they were secure. uh, but it really, if it's lacking on the front end, it's most likely lacking on the back end. If it looks good on the front end, doesn't necessarily mean it's good on the back end. In that situation later on, it was, but they don't always match. Or a lot of times, when it's matching is because they're bad on both sides.
Yeah. The other thing, though, is even if things are great, let's say with response time and all this, in today's world and the world that we're living in right now, in this AI world where AI will find the needle in the haystack. So even in the
Yeah.
best of circumstances, it's always a good idea. There may just be a few tweaks that need, or maybe someone could have dropped the ball on something, but there may be, but it's you there could still be a vulnerability no matter how small it is. which maybe a year ago didn't matter as much as it does now. Because, like you said, like half of these attacks now are automated. So
Yeah, yeah, it's
pretty soon we won't. Now, actually, pretty soon we'll be able to do the podcast every week because we won't be doing it. We'll just have an AI doing it.
yeah, exactly. But we should we should do that because we don't have to do it every freaking 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but it is always fun to do it when we do it.
Yeah, exactly. Once we'll do it again in the fall. So it seems
Yeah.
like that's been the cadence. Yeah.
And then I wish we can show everybody like my screen because every time before our meeting we do use AI to try to think of different topics and subjects and stuff like that. Today we had the topic we wanted to talk about, but we wanted to give it a fancy
Well, we
title.
usually have the topic. It's just the title,
Yeah.
like that we usually use.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody I don't do any work. Come on, Mario. What are you doing? All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
Obviously our offer still stands for anybody that wants a similar test like what we ran for these two companies. Give us a call and we'll do it.
And if you don't call, I'll be calling you anyway and harassing you to do it. So either way, you'll hear from me. All right, guys. I'll see you in the fall. Well, actually, no. Let's say we'll do it next week. But
Yeah.
we know
Happy
we won't.
Thanksgiving.
I'll see you in the fall. I'll come out with a football in September. Happy Thanksgiving, exactly. All right, guys.
All right.
See you
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
Bye-bye.